Hi, this is our education for the X3 monitors. We have 10 X3 monitors on our warmers for the babies, and we have 5 on Rolly stands for mother recoveries. You'll notice that the purple EKG tracing with the little baby at the top identifies this as a baby monitor with appropriate settings for the baby. And for the mother, you will see that there's an adult tracing, an adult icon, and a green EKG tracing. That's a quick identification, visual identification that you have the right monitor with the right settings for your alarm limits. I'm going to go over the cables for the baby monitor first. These are all reusable, a pulse ox cable and an EKG cable. These use our current pulse ox and EKG leads that are disposable. And for the mothers, we have a blood pressure cuff, reusable EKG leads. They're the clippy kind, and this is a new one. We're going to standardize our pulse ox to Massimo cables, and this is similar to the baby one, so we're going to have these as well, okay? And Angie got little clippers for the fingers for those as well, okay? They have a orange lead plug and a power plug. Just be very careful when moving our warmers. These should stay plugged in, at least the power cord, not necessarily the orange cord, at all times. And we will put this monitor on standby when we're not using it, and that's this key right here. And then if you need to use it, go ahead and turn it on after you plug in your cables to the babies and attach it, and it comes right up, okay? For the moms as well, it has an orange cable and the power cable. There is one jack in each room, and we will label these orange. This is how it will get connected to our central station, and we can pull some information into documentation. I'm going to go over the monitors here as the keys, just to give you, and you'll play around with these and find some fun features. But this is your, everything is touchscreen here, an acknowledge button to pause alarms. This blue screen will always get you back to that screen, and this is how you explore keys. So I'm going to go to the keys section first. I showed you the standby key already. When you're finished with your case, we're going to teach everyone to end your case, and that clears the data from your previous patient, so that if someone else uses this monitor again, that monitor information, the vital signs that were the previous patient, will not get pulled to the central station. So you're going to confirm that you're going to clear that, okay? And then it goes back into standby mode, okay? We're also going to look at vital signs trends, so you can quickly look at vital signs trends here, and you can see what it's been. You can change the time, the intervals, if you want to see more frequently, and I just restarted it, so we're not going to see trends. Let's look up here at the babies and see if we can see some trends for this one. And you can kind of see what it's been over the past 5 minutes. If you're reviewing it for a resuscitation record or something, you can look that up. Whenever you want to go back to that screen, you hit that blue screen and that goes back. To get these numbers bigger, you hit your blue screen and you can go big numeric, and it gets you big numbers, which might be nice. And you still can see your pleth wave for your pulse ox, which is really nice. And if you want to go back, you go back to your 3 waves and you get it back. So you guys can play around with that and see what you guys like. That hold screen button, they did tell us if you hold it inadvertently, it can lock the screen. And so if you do not want that, if that happens, you just have to hit it again, and it'll allow you to touch the screen again, okay? To measure, to adjust any of the measurements, we click the actual number here, the line, and you can adjust the high limits and the low limits. It says that the alarms are on there. You can change the wave if you're having a hard time, the primary lead. If you're not getting a good lead, that's where you would change those kind of things, okay? They're very sensitive, which is good. One thing that they had mentioned is if we are monitoring the pulse ox, it's going to go back to the EKG. That's going to be the heart rate that they're going to look at. This pulse down here, this is the pulse for the pulse ox, but you can see if they're correlating or not, if you're getting a good wave. Hope that makes sense. If not, ask me. For the respirations, sometimes during recovery for moms, you can't get a good respiration rate. You can size that up or down. So to get it to smaller so it can detect, and then you can also change the lead. So just to clarify, like if you have, I'm going to acknowledge this alarm here because it's alarming. If you are not tracing the respirations very well, you can go in here and click this and kind of go down here to detection and put it on manual mode. It's always on auto mode, but you can change it to detection mode and bring that line down so that it can see the thing. You can also change the lead to kind of see if it will affect that a little better. Okay. Okay, and this is our pulse ox. Again, you can adjust the high and low limits. So if your baby is statting 100%, you can go up on that so that you don't get alarms constantly. But it will be set, the alarm limits will be set for as you turn your alarm on or your monitor on. Also, for the blood pressure, this is different. You have to actually hit the blood pressure thing and hit start stop to actually take a blood pressure. So you get your cord, your stuff placed on the baby, and then that you actually have to hit it to start. We're going to kind of go over, there's some really cool features here on how we can set our blood pressures to go on a series. So if you hit your blood pressure things, you go down here to mode, and then you hit sequence here, and then set up sequence. And there's different phases that you can do. 5 times every 15 minutes, 5 times every 15 minutes here. And then on the mothers, I'm going to go down here to the mothers here because that is kind of more what we're going to be using for our recovery. Like you can do every 15 minutes. There's every, you can set it to every 10 minutes, continuous. You just select what you need to change. So if you're recovering someone, or if you have watching blood pressures for pre-E, you can set it to what you need it to be. Okay. So depending on what your orders are, you can actually change this. So like if you wanted every 3 times or every 4 times for 5 minutes, and then you go down to your next phase and you go, I want 4 times for every 10 minutes, you can change that there. And it will kind of phase through your recovery. Okay? And remember, when you go back, you have to hit start to get that sequence to kind of start going. Okay? And you see up at the top there, it says sequence, so you know that you're ready to go. Okay? There are 3 types of alarms. Red is life-threatening. Those must be acknowledged. You cannot let it go. It will keep going until you acknowledge it. Yellow is a slight deviations in the readings, like arrhythmias. They will go away when it gets back into range of our alarm limits. And blue is inoperable alarms. So we're asking the machine to do something it can't do. For example, the ECG leads are off if we're like maybe weighing a baby. It might alarm because of that. The acknowledge button silences it for 3 minutes. And then if you need to pause the alarm, this red light comes on the top. So don't do this if you're leaving your patient, but if you're doing something and fiddling with them and you don't want to hear the alarms, this will alarm, or this will be silenced for 2 minutes. Fun facts on these: battery life is 4 hours. We're going to try to keep them plugged in at all times. You can rotate the monitor if you need to. We don't plan on taking these off of these stands to limit damage, but you can do that if you want. This automatically time changes with the change of the clocks, so that's wonderful for our time changes in the middle of the night. And it synchronizes the blood pressure times to the quarter hour for your intervals. So this was a little confusing at first. So when you take one and you set your series, it will go off on even time. So you might have more more blood pressures, but that's okay. It just is something that's already set to. I didn't want you guys to get messed up with that. I think that's it with the monitors. We'll go to the central station.